very impressive, and control was especially good. So yeah, I think Nero makes a lot of sense. And yes, there's going to be some inconsistency there. There is going to be some questions when this team gets to LAN, but online there could be a real force to be reckoned with, and with lots of upset potential. Now the other side of the story is why, you could argue, would Carolina not get Nero? You know, Nero's now going to Vegas. What are the other options? And it seems like
crap.
Big Hell says that could be Fade, could be Quinn. And to be fair,
I was just swinging. I was nowhere near the mission, and it said start.
Academy rules there with Brian saying kind of,
Oh, is it?
at least being
You know how it just starts automatically when you're swinging? I didn't even. I was literally just swinging, and it started while I was right to the bridge.
He's going to bring some of these guys with him. But do you want the entire Rocker Academy team plus Clay? Not necessarily. I think Gwyn's going to be a really solid pickup here. He's a player that many people were saying, look, he should have got a chance last year on Surge. It never happened. He then went on to win the Challengers World Championship with Godorex. And let's be honest, you look at the Challengers scene last year, the best players in Challenges, this team might basically be three of them really.
I might have lost out on like 1K by one match. That is so upsetting.
And Gwyn was right there with him, right? So in terms of getting the best options and challenges, I think this team has done a great job, and Gwyn would have been, I think, my preference.
Oh, what are these guys on, man? I was knowing these guys so quick.
I think Gwyn might be, could give you a bit more slang. It's probably not going to be as crazy aggressive as Nero can be, and that, I think, is going to work for the Vegas team when it works, but they've got Stanley alongside him. It's a different SMG duo here with Real. So I really like what these teams are building, to be honest, and this is where we find themselves as Rumored rosters, as Viper Gaming puts together. This is the Rumored Ravens, this is the Rumored Legion.
Take these things down
given what was left on the market, I think both of these teams have done pretty well, and I would definitely look at some of the teams above them and think, right, there's lots of upset potential. Now, I'm still kind of mind-blown that some of these players aren't signed, and you can look at the likes of Beans, or even Donny Temp, and Kremp, and Brack, and Asim, and players like this as potential targets for the Los Angeles Grillers when they build a roster, because yeah, as I said before, everyone is gone. There are no players anymore, no GM really, like they got rid of Ricky, no coach, and apparently no social media manager either, so I totally don't know what's going on there, but they haven't tweeted since June, so I don't know what they're cooking up, but I guess we'll stay tuned. Now, TJ Halley gave his thoughts on the roster, and this was shortly after that rumour was revealed, right, of what the Vegas Legion were going to do. Of course, the team that TJ Halley was on last year and has been recently confirmed that he's not going to be starting in the CDL and will be starting in Challengers. Now, sure, LA Gorillas could wake up from their slumber and think, oh yeah, TJ, come along here, and that might well happen. But some God squads being formed this year. So I think clearly this is taken as a sarcastic comment, right? I think there's no way that TJ is saying this as like, oh yeah, these squads are really good. Like, read between the lines a little bit here and realise that TJ
do we have to follow the word?
Was certainly definitely saying that, this new Vegas team is not really it as far as he's concerned, and I totally get that. But then again, there was clearly some group chat going on here, that like, bro hasn't been good since World War II and is upset he's not getting signed up to 5 years of 0.7s, and TJ, by responding to this, a pretty funny response to be fair, definitely kind of confirms that that is pretty much what he was getting at with his initial assessment. So I guess we'll see, right? It's not like this Vegas team is setting the world on fire, neither is the Ravens team necessarily, but, I think just given what was remaining, I mean, let's be honest here, probably the top 15 players in the world are on, like, the top 4 teams, pretty much, right? Like, all of the best players are stacked on the theoretical 4 best rosters, really, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. But, for what's left, I think these teams have done a good job. And do I blame these teams? Okay, I think TJ is a solid option, but at the same time, there's other good players as well that maybe are also equally, if not more, deserving of opportunities. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next for TJ.
No, I lost it by 2 games, though.
Season numbers last year on the Las Vegas Legion. Not always easy to have good numbers on Vegas Legion because, yeah, they're not necessarily going to get the great results. But we'll see. There's still one team to confirm. And who's left for Los Angeles Grillers at this point, right? Like, I'm still mind-blowing. This is a UK Challengers team. Obviously, Nasty would be such a good pickup, but I don't know if they've got their brain switched on Gorillas. They could get Assault back as well. That's a possibility. Brack, I thought, was pretty good from Florida, but if there was one player in the league that kind of fall into the player for kills category, I think Brack was definitely up there. Asim as well, they could get him back, Los Angeles Grillers. Kremp has been playing lots of 8s lately, and again, Nero's getting picked up. You'd think
Where's
shouldn't
Craven
be
hiding?
all that far behind. So that's pretty much where we're going to leave it for today. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Welcome to the world of absolute cocktails.
Oh yeah, Jaden.
Huh?
Hey, gee, my throat went finished. How's that? Are you here?
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm fighting a whole bunch of hunters right now.
Hello?
Alright guys, hope you're having a good day. You've been enjoying your day so far, and after all 12 CDL teams have made changes going into the upcoming season, there's so many players that the pressure is seriously on to deliver this time round, or their careers might be in a very different position 12 months from now. So many players across loads of different teams that qualify for this one. Of course, there's some big names on the biggest name team of all that are being thrown into the conversation as well. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Firstly, I know there's been some questions about exactly when Ranked is going to come out in the new game. We've heard that it's going to be like Season 1 Reloaded. People want it as soon as possible. In an ideal world, Ranked arrives probably 2 weeks into the game's life cycle. The game does well at launch, then it calms down a little bit, then bang, Ranked Play arrives with an actual proper rule set, right? Because you can really launch Ranked, you don't know what the com maps and the com rule set is going to be. I don't know if that's going to happen. The current rumours are that it's going to be delays somewhat longer than that, and it might be quite significantly into the new year again. So maybe not the best sign, but again, I guess it's going to be Treyarch that are doing the job on it, isn't it? Rather than the actual development of the game itself, which is, probably not optimal. There was also, this is we're going to discuss Optic in a second. You guys might well remember a few years ago, Optic India CSGO player Forsaken. This is I think it's 6 years ago maybe now, something like that anyway. Crazy stuff. His ban has now come to a close, so he can now compete again, which is kind of hilarious. I don't know what he's up to nowadays. There is also a player called Forsaken who is a Valorant player, but it's a different guy. It's not Optic India Forsaken, the legend for multiple reasons. It did make me wonder what happens to Jimbo, because Jimbo was quite explicitly just this guy. If you don't know the story, he literally turned
Easy stuff.
the USB stick and downloaded a file called word.exe onto it, and that was basically his cheating thing. And basically they caught him, the referees were behind him, and his team was looking over like, what's going on. Classic stuff from several years ago in the CS days, and it wasn't really a great sign for Optic because they signed these guys. Now yes, this has been an esports, they've come in, they've made the decision to expand into India, and it wasn't really a great look for Optic that they basically signed a cheater, but he was banned by the Sports Integrity Commission over 4 years. Now he's back, and there's questions. People are saying, Seagull and some of these other guys that were banned by Valve for the match fixing.
Easy stuff. Jesus Christ, spare them.
But now Forsaken, who literally hacked on that and who was caught doing so, is apparently perfectly fine. Now, okay, Jimbo didn't cheat on that, we don't think, but he did cheat. He had to cheat on his computer at some point over the previous few months while he was playing the Challengers qualifiers and such. So what's his punishment? We don't really know. There was all the frustration, the players, especially the likes of Dustin and Martin, that Jimbo had kind of caused them from qualifying for the Challengers World Championship during that whole saga. But yes, there was no real repercussions there.
We can even jump on Warzone together still.
We don't know. It probably doesn't massively matter because
Say that again?
I said we can even jump on Warzone together still.
No, he's got a party going at his gaff. I was gonna call him and say, yeah, you say him. I'm gonna call him.
Let's talk about some of the players heading into the new season. This I thought was a pretty disgusting play here from Johnson Taylor. Look at this navy throws through this gap here to pick up these couple of kills. But with loads of teams making changes going into the new year, so many players have the pressure seriously on them to deliver this year, because a lot of these teams either underperformed somewhat last season or they did really well, but they're still making changes. So the player that you bring in that scenario has a lot to live up to, and that's the case in at least a couple of different sports. The big one, of course, is always going to be Optic, just because Optic's the biggest team, they've got the most fans. If there's a pressureometer, it's always going to be most on Optic.
Imagine getting stuck in an event, that's so sad.
The pressure's always on Optic more than anyone to deliver, because that's simply how it works. So the two names we're looking at Optic really are Dashi and Shotzi.
Have you had to fight you had to fight the dogs, innit?
What dogs?
The robot dogs.
Now the two new players come in.
Robot bugs, yeah.
The pressure being on them to turn the ship around. But really, you can argue it's some of the players that stay.
What robot
Robot
dogs?
dogs, bit of driving, lad. Have you not? One sec.
Which player has the most to prove this season? Red, Sid, Krista, Dashi, Raza. What do you guys think?
Have you not had to fight the robot dogs yet?
I think it has to be.
Are you fighting robot dogs now?
No, I'm not fighting them now. I was asking you if you've had to fight the robot dogs.
No, I don't think I have.
He's had something to
Oh,
prove every
well.
year. I think it's
Good
Dashi
luck.
and Brett, mainly because
Them dogs are
Brett
bit
is out
driving.
here.
Why are they like
He's been on
peak?
that Seattle roster for like
No, they're not
basically
peak. They're
the
just
start of
like
his career, and
annoying,
that
fam.
guy's been a
They
superstar
take
player,
away
so,
your
this guy
abilities.
wants to like win everything, and now he's on a team that can potentially do so because of how good their ceiling is. But Dashi, man, I think Dashi, obviously he was scapegoated on the Optic team for a bit. He got dropped. They picked him back up. They ended up, finding a little bit of success here and there, but they ultimately couldn't win. But like, bro, no excuses anymore. Optic got a roster that, on paper, should win at least something.
They got a good roster. They got a really good roster.
They need to elevate and finally, come out on top at some point during the season.
Dante's a good shot as well, bro. He's going to a team that's won 3 chips and a world championship, and he's looking to be that guy to elevate these guys. I'm just curious to see how he meshes with them and how they work together. But go ahead, Ben.
I agree with Chris, bro. Like, I think every person on this 5 that's listed here has something to prove. But the other person that's got, I think he's in the most honestly to me is probably Dashi because of the expectations of Optic. And the fact of the matter is, like, there's just, bro, you can't, like...
Switch to a sim plan that lets you flex up and down if you need to. Sound like a plan? Gift gap.
Oh, remembered. I've got to buck into Scorpion. Prick.
Hold on, I'm trying to be stealthy. So playing stealthy. Who's healthy? You know it, bro.
When you get the new Google Pixel 8 Pro, now from under £48 a month. Plus, switch up to a new phone when it suits you. O2, see what you can do.
And for general fans of football, really, because we've had such an exceptional start to this Premier League season.
You're bringing in Ken now, you can't complain that there's just weird organizational issues. It wasn't a fit with Dan, wasn't a fit with Inder, wasn't a fit with Rambo. Like,
Chelsea and Dashi should be together in this, by the way.
If you can't figure it out now, they can't figure out a way to like get over the hump of seconds and play good in a couple events. And
What was that?
Champs, like, this is really it. This is
Some smoke just got me out of my stealth place.
I'm sure you guys will have your thoughts in the comment section below.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what it was, but some smoke got me out of my stealth place, which is stupid. When I was like being stealthy, and then some smoke bomb just hit me out of nowhere. What the fuck?
Show up this season. I mean, Hook, Illy, Arcetes all were on Optic over the last few years, and as was Rambo, Raticate, Arcetes was on when it was Chicago Huntsman, but it's kind of the same idea. Hook, and again, has to prove, I guess, that last year he wasn't just getting the Shotzi teammates buff, which might well exist, and that he can actually show up on land this year, because, as I've said before, they need
Dunzo.
the version of Hook, Illy, and Arcetes with a solid season opener from Abusa if they want to succeed with this roster. So, they're going to need more from Hook than he delivered on the Gorillas. Illy as well has quite something to prove, because I know there's still people that think that I can understand why there's some hangover from that thumb injury during the Vanguard season. Is he quite back to his best? Is he going to be capable of, winning events and winning world championships again as he did back in 2020? That's the question that he's got to answer. But then again, he's been double-edging all the off-season tournaments, so I'm sure that it's possible. Arcetes is probably the name that I'm looking at most though from this team. 2-time world champion. Last year was, a bit of a howler, let's be honest. He's got to prove that this year he can get back to the form in which he can actually contend for event wins, or at least try and get these guys.
Investigate the flowers.
Prove that he can be a better teammate. Prove that he's not a 2-time world champion for no reason at all. And prove that this whole idea of Arcetes and Illy teaming up, because they're friends, basically, right? This is being touted as kind of one of the friendship league teams. They need to prove that that's not just the case, and there's more to it than that. And you can probably find at least one player on like every team in which this applies to some extent. I mean, Heretics maybe not so much. Vickle, there's some questions just because Vickle is going to start, we think, and we think Journey's on the bench, which is kind of interesting. So, a lot of people would say, oh, maybe Journey should start and Vickle should be bench or something like that.
Give me 1 second.
So, something to prove.
Say nothing.
I had to grab some cold water. And whoa.
And they wanted to sign for the big bucks, whatever they were trying to pay it. But I think the main ones are the ones you're going to find on this page. So I guess we'll start with FaZe. Again, Gaza, there's obviously some pressure there. He made the difficult and controversial decision to turn down the Optic move to go and join FaZe. Effectively, he has to win more than Optic do. There's no excuses. He has to come in this season to FaZe, win more events than Optic, win more prize money than Optic, because otherwise, he'll have kind of made the wrong decision. So there's pressure on him to deliver, but also there's pressure on him really to get FaZe to where they want to be. Slasher, I think, was a good player to FaZe, no doubt, but Slasher and Celium AR combo didn't really work, forced Simp into playing more of a kind of dirty work type role. Maybe there's some pressure on Simp as well.
Yeah, okay, MJ, we understand you want to speak to MJ, but let's get this party cooking.
In the most recent, relatively higher time to kill game in Cold War, I think we would expect that to continue. And yeah, given the fact that Simp has been touted for some time as the next greatest in the top 10 of all time, he's going to be pushing up for the best ever in a couple of years. We haven't really seen that same
Stealth will take way too long.
On the scene in Black Ops 4 was absolutely unkillable and looked like he was going to go down as
I'm just going to smoke these guys straight away.
We haven't really seen that version of Simp over the last title. Okay, a couple of titles. Maybe he was pretty good at Vanguard, but this most recent year, again, it was okay. They won an event, but it wasn't quite the Simp of old. So I think there's something to be said about that. I think Draza can probably get that out of them as well, because he can take over some of the things that Simp was doing last year. Subliners, I know that people were talking about Priest right, going to Boston, and I get that. I would say it's much more so the other way around. To me, Priester has proven everything he needs to prove. This guy was won the most allowed events of the CDL era. He gets signed to the New York Subliners, wins 3 events, including the World Championship. He's achieved it all in COD. He's won everything now. He's won champs. He's won all the other events. He's been a great player for years. Pre-CDL into the CDL. I don't really think Priester has much left to prove. I see it much more so the other way around, where Sim has the pressure massively on him. I mean, you're getting signed to replace someone who is consistently kind of, overlooked, I guess, in terms of what Priest has accomplished, I would say. And Sip, who's won one event in his career on Seattle Surge, Major 3 during the Vanguard year, he comes in as a player that is very talented, no doubt, but had a bit of a lackluster finish to last season. He's come in as the guy to the Subliners to make sure they stay at the level of FaZe and Optic with the upgrades they have theoretically made. So I think the
take out that thing, bro.
It's difficult to come into a system that's just won the World Championship and try and be an upgrade for one of the players that they got rid of. Like, I would say of all the players in the league, Sim might have the most pressure on him because, people are expecting Subliners, and especially because they got Hydra, who's the best player in the world right now, they're looking to continue that success. The fans are expecting great things, and Sim needs to deliver on it. You can also look at some of their teams. I guess we'll kind of finish out here talking about the obvious, which is Optic Texas. And you can look at on the Thieves and talk about, players like Afro and others that have maybe struggled a little bit over the last year or so. Afro got benched, right? Let's not forget. So, Afro does need to play well because if he gets benched again, you've got to wonder where he goes next in his career. But Optic is the obvious one, of course. And again, you can look at the players that got signed in Kenny and in Fred to turn the team around. But I think in Optic's case, it's more so the other way around. Like with FaZe, the pressure isn't really on Abizi or Celia because they've been great the last few years and they've won a lot of events. But for Optic, Shotzi and Dashi have won one event in their tenure on this team. Okay, Shotzi hasn't been around that long, only since the start of the merger happens and they go into the Vanguard season. But Dashi's been around longer than he's been around Optic since 2018 when he won his first event on the roster. And since then, it's been very much up and down and not really all that good. There's been some highs, there's been certainly some lows. And I would say this time is when the team really needs to succeed, right? Because Dash has been dropped a couple of times in the last 12 months, right? And it's happened before, and it might happen again if this team doesn't work. So I think that the pressure is on Shotzi to some extent, just because Dashi's been around on the team for longer, and now they've signed. I mean, you can't do much better than this, really. You get credit for Hoog, one of the most promising talents of the next generation, and then Kenny comes in. Okay, they could have got Draza, but I think either way, that's a really great pickup. It's like, if this team doesn't succeed, the questions aren't on Fred or Kenny. The questions are on, I would say, Shotzi and Dashi. And probably Dashi especially. You guys can look at here, and the guys on the flank did that during the clip that I shared. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, the dog's here.
There you go.
Alright, here we go.
Right guys, such a graphic you can say. Hope you've been enjoying your day so far. Big roster news developing overnight in this 2 weeks today precisely until the new Modern Warfare 3 title comes out. We still have 3 teams that won't tell us what they're up to at the moment.
And Newton Square.
Will give us some good idea. We know that there's some big names next year's Husky challenges.
3 dogs, that's good.
Mally and others are going to be joining that list. Potentially good news from Tread, given his record against TJ in the last couple of years. But what is the future of TJ given this announcement? Very much enjoy taking your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, thought this is pretty cool.
Oh, I've defeated one of them, 2 of them already. I've defeated all 3 of them.
Now, Snoopy got involved.
What Jaden Little crap?
No, it's when you're fighting. You'll see when you're fighting people and then the dogs pull up.
Oh, more.
They do some bullshit. Fucking posting move and it blocks your powers off. It's jarring.
And as Parasite says, okay, maybe I shouldn't let you play, you're too good. But yeah, 4v4, 3,000 challenges with Parasite, so pretty cool initiative, and congrats to the winners for sure, as Parasite says. Great job of putting all this on.
Yeah, I let you get shot by your own teammate, and then you get webbed up.
Another inner circle, the last time they did this, you guys might remember, was the Dynasty one, right? So, and you know, quite often, when they do these teaser pictures, it takes quite some time for the actual thing to be released. But still, it's a pretty cool image. Now, this is called the Expedition, so I was thinking that it was going to be, you know, I thought Dashi was going to be...
Yeah, the dogs come again with the humans.
I believe it's probably because he's back in Canada, maybe he's not, I'm not really sure. But, yeah, I thought they might have got Dashi involved in this one. We've got Scum, we've got Formal, we've got Hex. I think we've got, well, this is obviously Karma.
Oh, now, they got smoked.
To get this done. To be honest, initially I thought this was Rambo, and I thought it was going to be Rambo and Dashi, and I was like, oh my god, here we go. Finally, some stories are going to be told, but I don't think that's the case.
Try calling this boost guy and he don't even answer the fucking phone, bro.
He's probably enjoying too much at the moment.
Story, I guess, chapters of the story of the Rambo Dashi stuff in due course, and of course, when Surge playoffs next year is going to be...
What's the pattern for tomorrow?
Interesting. We're going into the new season. Lots of people are wondering what he's going to do. We've had some rumours, right, for some time about
Mayo, didn't it?
What time?
Los Angeles
like, shit, bro. Well, the thing ain't till like 3 o'clock. So, get here for like 2 till 3 piece. And then bust out, innit?
There was lots of talk about Tem really because going into the new year, we expected that he might get an offer from somewhere, but he'd made the point known a while ago that he would maybe prefer to start in challenges, prove that he's the absolute best to do it down there, and then kind of wait for an opportunity on a better team rather than having to play for a team for the minimum again that isn't really going to do anything special. So Vegas have potentially decided not to keep Temp on anyway, and they're going to go a different route. So Temp,
what are you wearing?
The other day, he's going to be starting in
Fuck knows, man, will just decide tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can't like, yeah.
Now I'm wondering whether, you know, it's definitely possible that a player like Neptune or Gonorek to even win or even Tem really could have been signed by a pro team. I don't think that's the case yet for Tem, but I definitely think it's possible with that team that could be the case. But no massive updates on that yet. Now, yesterday, Mohawk confirmed. So Mohawk back at it again. You know, I feel kind of bad for Mohawk, right? Because we know that he had an offer, we think at least probably from Vegas and maybe a couple of offers that he actually turned down over the last couple of years when his stock was kind of at an all-time high. Look, he won back-to-back Challengers World Championships and wasn't signed into the Pro League, which just makes you think this. You know, it doesn't really make much sense, right, when you got the best player in Challengers, really, at least done it for a couple of years in a row.
That means Scorpion's dead.
Lots of talk that he should have been, but then again, last year, most recent season, didn't do so well. So now it's like, well, is he as good as he was before? Should he have turned down the offer when he got the opportunity? Arguably not. And this is what Octane said. It's like, look, if you get a CDL offer, you take the CDL offer. Especially the way things are now, given this might be the final year of the CDL as we presently know it. I think there's a very good chance that next year is a very different story. And, you know, while the money is there, you probably want to get it back. It's not that Mohawk was necessarily to have known it at the time. He was going to play with Cryptic and also with Fire for the upcoming season. That's a team of 3. And we also got to wonder what Place is up to. I thought this is a beautiful graphic here that Kimchi put together a while ago of potential rosters. But yeah, we're pretty clear where he's going to go. And it's going to be what used to be the Royal Ravens, and now it's going to be the Carolina Royal Ravens. His His teammates, though, are very much unknown. I will just mention this that I saw quickly. This guy, Danny, having to play a Val game up against Playstar. He was playing off-stream with Standy, Studdy, Saint, and Nameless. Of course, we know that Studdy and Nameless get on very well. Brian Saint, of course, is the general manager, head coach for the Carolina Ravens. And Standy has played, well, Val would play for some time. And the theory was that they'd probably go as a team of two there. But apparently Stanley's going to go to Vegas, but that was the case before the Mac situation. Now that Mac has stepped away, there was other possibilities. And I did wonder whether other players potentially from the Vegas Legion team could then step up to the plate in that way. TJ was one of those players. The other day, of course, we saw them having a bit of fun joking around about the fact that TJ's record against Pred all time when Pred was on surge for the last couple of years and TJ was on Boston and then Vegas is 6-0. He's beaten Pred every single time that he's played him. And this year, that was the point. Okay, TJ, maybe if he gets signed somewhere, that's going to be an issue with Pred and this new Boston team that on paper looks very good. However, that's not going to be the case for too much longer. But TJ with Sparks confirming that this is going to be a team of three. Smart, TJ, Prolix looking for a main AR to lock in with the upcoming season. So this is kind of crazy, right? Smart, of course, a player that was on the Los Angeles for the Summit bench, came into that holiday really in Major 2 Vanguard when Gunners was on well.
Alright, completed the mission.
But honestly, I think that team was pretty good even without them, just to that specific event, because they're such a strong.
I'm coming back here. I just need to go get a drink.
But it's kind of unfortunate with Smart though, because after that event, the Lockdown disappeared. They're such they weren't winning every surge in the world like they were during Major 2, which was, possible to maintain. And then kind of people thought, Smart just a bulk merchant, and there's nothing to it. I think there was a bit more to it than that. I don't think that's a completely, fair way of looking at it, but then again, it's the same story as we saw back in